early afternoon, late morning. Welcome everyone. I know it's been a long, long time since me and my brother went live with any content. Well, with our sports content, number one, and it hasn't been that we've been neglectful to anybody that subscribes to the channel, and we apologize if that has been the case, but that definitely wasn't our intention. Our intention is to always give quality content and honest content. And one thing about this brother and myself is that we disagree on our pro teams a lot. One of the teams that we both root for. So if you guys have never been privy to the conversation, it is very interesting. But appreciate everybody, like I said, who will join us. Hopefully people will join us and understand that we're gonna be try to do a sports show at least. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna try to, as I say, speaking into existence. Twice a week, we're gonna try to do a sports show at least. I'm gonna just say it. If Dwayne and we're not together, he's gonna do a show, and we'll upload it to the channels, and then or I'll do a show, something. Just a thought, a comment. We're gonna do what we do because with all due respect, we do think we have something different to offer than a lot of other people. We respect all the other creators that create sports content, but we do think that sometimes we be knowing some stuff, man. So, week 10 in the NFL, where they play for pay. Dwayne, give me your thoughts on just the first 9 weeks in general,
Um,
overall theme.
Teams are who we thought they were. Um, I think the way that this game is covered is being exposed. Um, I think the letter networks are falling into personal attacks, personal biases. So you'll have a person where they all say Josh Allen is one of the greats, and yet his team is 5-4, and no one wants to take him to task. But then you have a quarterback that plays for a different team where that team is 5-3, and it's not because of anything that he's done. If you listen to the pundits or what have you, the Eagles are the class of the NFL. I mean, we got to say that they 8-1. People could say, "Yeah, they struggled. They don't look good." Da, da, da. They 8-1. You know, San Francisco's been reeling. They're at 5-3 right now. You know, they beat the Cowboys, which seemed like they gave everything they had to beat the Cowboys in the fashion that they did. They got beat up in the process. I know Debo Samuels is scheduled to come back. They're saying Trent Williams will try to go today, but they'll see. Um, Brock Purdy is the Brock Purdy that I thought he was. You know, he's not going to be the person to win you a game. He's going to be the person that you try to get to manage it and not have him lose the game for you. That's just my opinion.
Hmm.
Um, Detroit 6-2. It's a team that we all thought had the opportunity to take the next step. I'm a Dan Campbell fan. I like the way he coaches. I like the way he goes about his business. He's from that Bill Parcells school. Spent time in Dallas with the Tuna and some other places. So I think, man, like you look at the AFC and it's the Chiefs. They're gonna always be there. 7-2, whatever. Baltimore 7-2. Well, let's just run through it, right? So you go through the AFC East. You got the Dolphins sitting at 6-3. You got Buffalo at 5-4. You have New York at 4-4. And you got New England at 2-7, and they're trailing right now in the third quarter over in Germany.
It's
Seven.
crazy. I didn't even realize there was still another game in Germany. It had all went by so quick.
Yeah. So if we're taking a look at the AFC East at the 10-week mark, I mean, people are gonna call me crazy for saying this, man. Considering what they've been through, considering losing Aaron Rodgers, for the Jets to be 4-4, man, that's with Zach Wilson, who's not that great of a quarterback. Let's be honest, they're doing it with defense. I really think we should see Trevor Simeon or somebody that gives them a chance. Because Zach Wilson, I said it from day one. Everybody thought I was a hater. The only reason that young man went number 2 overall is for an indoor workout when he had a t-shirt and shorts on and made an off-schedule throw. No
And it
clue.
was the throw that 99.9% of quarterbacks can make, not just
Right.
pro. What you're doing is you're basically rolling left and throwing across your body 60 yards.
Yeah,
We've seen guys, we grew up, rest in peace, with one of probably the best arm talent football players that we can remember. I'm not going to mention his name, but he's no longer with us. And he had an arm all the way back when we were 12, 13 years old. Anthony, appreciate you. We just got a little bit of music in the background just to have a little tempo so we don't have them dead spots in when we do a
right.
conversation. Appreciate you for joining us, Anthony. We'll do our review probably on Tuesday. I know you're waiting for that, Anthony, but we probably gonna be on the Devil channel on YouTube. Got some stuff going on, but that's neither here nor there. We're gonna get right into this NFL week. Dwayne, I agree with everything you said with the season. I think the season so far has been strange, and I don't mean that in a bad way or a good way. It just seems odd. Parity in the NFL is real. If you've been
It
watching
is.
these games, it's a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Some teams, if you make the minor mistakes, you're going to lose. Some organizations, it comes down to, and I hate to say it, because the person that the quarterback gets the spoils or the blame so much in the NFL because they got the ball in their hand. But then you have teams that will literally say they don't think they could win it unless they got a big quarterback. But the honest answer is, and I'll just name a couple: the Jacoby Brissett to the world, the Tyrod Taylor before he got hurt. Some of these guys who are career backups, if some of these organizations put something into them, they might could win long as you don't make those catastrophic mistakes in game. And I've realized that a lot of teams just make real head scratching, analytic driven decisions that'll really jack you up. But other than that, man, Anthony, we know you are a Washington football fan. And we're going to discuss them because that's the division that we root for a lot. So we'll get to them. I don't know if Caleb Williams will be the next RG3. RG3 was a small guy. RG3 was a track guy. He had the track body. RG3 to me never had the football body. I know his measurables were not that bad, but RG3, you could tell, in my opinion, you could tell that RG3 physically wasn't going to be able to withhold the NFL. Physically, you look at a guy like Justin Fields, and I'll just use him before Dwayne gets into his stuff. Justin Fields is excuse the expression, a thick kid. He's a big kid. Anthony Richardson is a linebacker body, but he plays quarterback. And you can't keep taking them hits. You're not giving hits, you're taking hits. And quarterbacks, people that are playing that position, take so many hits after the play, the little pushes here and there, going to the ground, having to land on your arm unawkwardly, land on your side. We saw a guy the other day who's a football player, but he's 5'8", 5'7". He landed on the shoulder, and it basically you just thought it was his whole shoulder blade done. Luckily, that wasn't the case, but quarterback position is not a easy position to play for guys. But we're
As
gonna
far as
talk
the
about
question,
week 10.
as far as the question on Caleb Williams, man, I think Caleb Williams he has a chance, right? Again, it's all how you grade stuff out, how you project. Because some people thought Zach Wilson was going to be great. Some people thought Carson Wentz was going to be great. Um, I think he's deserved the right to be the first quarterback taken in the draft. I think this is what's going to make the 2024 draft one of the best drafts in recent history is the amount of potential franchise quarterbacks that will get drafted. You could see anywhere from 5 to 7 quarterbacks taken in the first round this year. It's that many names. You got Caleb Williams, you got Drake May, you got Michael Penix, you got Bo Nix, you got potentially JJ McCarthy. There's another name that I'm not thinking of right off the top of my head, but there are a lot of quarterbacks that are potentially going to be in this draft, and we understand this is a quarterback league. They get all the credit, they get all the blame. So just back before I move on to the AFC North, you look at it. Hey, Miami and Buffalo, it's going to be a race between them to see who gets the division, and um, we'll see if the Jets can still hang in it. I
Well,
mean, they're
Dwayne,
500.
I I don't trust Buffalo. I don't trust them. You know why? Me and you've been talking about it for 3 seasons about this Josh Allen hype, and I say hype with all due respect to him as a player. His measurables physically probably has the most we've ever seen at the quarterback position. But I hate the reference to this player, but he reminds me so much of Jeff George. He has everything, but his decisions, those in-game decisions, are terrible.
Yeah, he's a turnover waiting to happen, and you'll have some pundits that'll be like, "Well, I'll take that because what he could do on the other side." But I mean, okay, he's been to an AFC Championship game. That seems to be how everybody want to judge him, at least on one of the networks and one of the shows. Oh, he's elite because he's been to one AFC Championship game. All right, so Lamar Jackson's elite because he was one time uh, unanimous MVP, but he's never won a playoff game, or he's won one playoff game. But we don't want to talk about that. You understand what I'm saying? So Josh Allen, the talent is there, but just like any quarterback, he got to prove it, man. And so he had one good run, and he played one of the better championship games of all time, but they lost. You know. So then you look at the AFC North. You got Baltimore at 7-2, Pittsburgh 5-3, Cleveland 5-3, Cincinnati 5-3. The AFC North, man, is where it's at, in my opinion, as we go down the rest of the season. Because for how great Joe Burrow is, and he's great, and those receivers are great, they're 5-3, right, with Pittsburgh and Cleveland. And we can say all we want about Cleveland and PJ Walker. He helped keep them afloat. Now we're gonna see if four is worth the money that they've been giving him. I think he's a decent quarterback. I think his career has been derailed by some things that's in his control. I'm not gonna say it's out of his control. It's in his control. So the AFC North is definitely a division I'm looking to watch these last 7 weeks after this week. 7 weeks is going to be a nice mad finish to that. AFC South, I think we all know Jaguars are the cream of the crop there. I give D'Amico Ryan and CJ Stroud a world of credit that Houston Texans team is 4-4. Indianapolis is 4-5 pending this game against New England. Hey man, they can get to 500. You may have to watch out for the Colts. And then Tennessee is 3-5. So then you go to the AFC West, and we'll wrap up the AFC with this. Kansas City. I mean, what are we talking about? I mean, they're 7-2. The Chargers 4-4. The Raiders 4-5. The Broncos 3-5. To me, and this may be a bold statement. To me, the biggest disappointment of this season is the Los Angeles Chargers at 4-4. I just don't know how you can continue with this coach. We say Justin Herbert is elite. He has Kellen Moore calling plays. One thing about Kellen Moore, he knows how to call plays, especially he wants to throw the ball. So when you got Justin Herbert, you would think, but something's just off there, man. So if we're looking at, we'll do this segment, and then I'll stop running my mouth so much. But with week 10, let's look at how many people, I ask you, how many teams in the AFC right now, you could name them, do you feel are contenders to represent this conference in Las Vegas in February?
I'm gonna say Miami,
Okay.
the Chiefs,
Okay.
Pittsburgh, which is crazy. I think Pittsburgh could miss the playoffs, or it's all faith in the coach. It's all about the coach with him, with that team. It's nothing about these players. It's all about the faith in Tomlin. Cleveland could go on a run if Deshaun gets
Contender.
himself together
Now you
because their
now,
defense is creating so many turnovers at an alarming rate. So if Cleveland could get back to running that football, doing play action, Deshaun basically not messing it up because the defense is fantastic. The Bengals, I think the Bengals and Buffalo are two teams that could represent the AFC, or two teams that missed the playoffs because literally their window has been open the last 3 years for both teams. However, they're beat up, and every week for Buffalo and the Bengals, people are marking their calendars for them. People are saying circling the wagon for them. So, though, which is interesting because I'm gonna compare two teams, which is interesting because Kansas City and the Eagles are both quote unquote struggling. With if you watch them during the games, you'd be like, oh, they're struggling, but they're both winning and they're both leading their conferences respectively. So anybody to say right now the favorites are not a repeat of the Super Bowl is kind of crazy because the favorites to repeat in the Super Bowl is the Chiefs and the Eagles, but they're struggling. The other teams that are struggling the worst are the three teams that have been there the last 3 4 years up in those championship games: Buffalo, Cincinnati, and the Niners. The Niners, I don't know if a lot of people have been watching the last few years. The Niners have been beat up
yeah, we're
during
gonna
the
get to the
season.
NFC. We're
I
gonna get
mean,
to the NFC.
so we'll discuss
We'll
them
get to
later.
that.
But AFC,
Um,
Dwayne, it's an interesting thing. I really would. One of the things about, and I know that we're so used to the 16 game schedule, and now it's a 17 game schedule. You can see a team that's hovering 3-5, 4-5, because it's week 10. That could kind of go like on a mini run and get in the playoffs. I mean, Denver is playing totally different than they were, and I don't know if they just threw it in through the tagging, but Denver's playing different. Tennessee, and this is a quarterback who me and you both said you gave me the intel on, like, yo, he's not that good, but for some reason he has lit a spark into that team, and they got the running game. One thing about, and we always talk about having a solid running game, if you have a young quarterback having to throw the ball 15 to 23 times a game and run the football and suck the air out of that clock, you can win a lot of games in the NFL.
yeah, I
Win a
think
lot
the
of
true
games.
contenders in the AFC. I'm gonna say three teams that I think are true contenders for being there in Las Vegas in February. I'm gonna say the Chiefs because I gotta always say the Chiefs. 15 is that guy, and they've proven it. I'm gonna say the Baltimore Ravens. I like the way that the Ravens look in this new offense with coordinator Todd Monken.
My buddy
But
Joe
what?
is a good friend of mine, Wayne.
Oh, okay. And I think Jacksonville, man. I'm a big Doug Peterson fan. Um, I was secretly one when he was in Philadelphia because I'm a Cowboy fan. I couldn't really give him the props
And I
that
forgot
that
about them. Excuse me, Wayne. I forgot about them.
that's not true. I gave him his props even when he was the Eagles. I still think the Eagles were kind of crazy for getting rid of him. I know Nick Sirianni is doing some good things there, but I just think Doug Peterson's a better coach. It's going to be interesting to see how Jacksonville looks against the Niners today. When it comes to Miami, when it comes to Buffalo, I just don't know on those two teams. Joe Burrow and the Bengals sounds good, but they're 5-3. Like, I know we got a history, but we got to talk about now. We got to talk about 2023. So I think the AFC is going to be very interesting. I think it's going to be a mad dash for there. I think it's going to lead to great wild card matchups, divisional matchups, the AFC Championship leading on to the big game in Las Vegas. So as you go to the NFC, we'll start with the NFC East. The Eagles are in the driver's seat for the division. They're 8-1. They're 3-0 in division. So they're 6-0 in conference. So they're pretty much set unless something amazing happens. They're pretty much set to probably be back to back NFC East champions. Cowboys are sitting at 5-3. One thing about the Dallas Cowboys with their 5-3 is they're 3-0 at home and they play different at home. So they got a chance to get a little bit fat the next 3 weeks. This is the NFL though. Everybody's a professional in this league, so there's no guarantees. The Washington Commanders, 4-5, and the New York Giants, they're 2-7. Um, Very interested with the Giants organization. How they gonna move, man? Like, I don't think they're getting rid of the coach. They've changed coaches a lot. Um, it's gonna be interesting, but I think you will get the Eagles, and I think you will get Dallas out of NFC East going on to the tournament. And hey, man, give the Eagles credit. It ain't always pretty. You know, people are saying they're not the same team, but then you look up and they're 8-1, and they're going into a bye, and coming out of that bye, they got a very, 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 very challenging schedule. So I'm gonna be interested to see how they come through that schedule. So you go to the north. It's Detroit's to lose. They're 6-2. Minnesota 5-4. Man, hey Josh Dobbs, what a job by that guy. He barely even knew everybody. You know, he came in that game last week and he led that team to victory, man. So I would assume I haven't heard anything otherwise. I would assume he gets the start. I think he's earned the start. So you got them, Green Bay. What is Jordan Love, man? What is Jordan Love? Does Green Bay look to get that quarterback of the future with this quarterback heavy draft? And Chicago. I think Chicago is gonna move on from their quarterback. I think they're gonna move on from their coach. I think it's gonna be a total clean slate.
Our
And
boy gonna get fired, huh?
yeah, I think Eberflus his days are numbered. Um, then you look at the NFC South, right? 5-4 New Orleans, 4-5 Atlanta, 3-5 Tampa, 1-8 Carolina. I have no clue who's going to win that NFC South. But I will tell people this: there are certain coaches that get so many opportunities that they are who we thought they are. Josh McDaniels. I don't want to see him get another head coaching opportunity. It's over. Dennis Allen. We saw what he was when he was with the Oakland Raiders. Now they're the Las Vegas Raiders, but when he was the coach, they were the Oakland Raiders. And everybody in the world told us with David Carr and him back together, the Saints was gonna be this. The Saints are 5-4 because he's an average NFL coach to below average NFL head coach, but keep getting opportunity after opportunity. That's a story for another day, right? So then you have a situation where you have San Francisco, who's coming on 3 losses. They're 5-3. Seattle's 5-3. The Rams are 3-6. Arizona's 1-8. We can make the excuses that the 49ers were beat up and they're gonna start getting healthy, but they're 5-3, and this is a must-win for the 49ers today against Jacksonville. They can't go to 5-4. So I'll ask you the same question about the NFC as we did the AFC. Who are the legitimate contenders to be in the big game come February? Like legit.
Look, the Eagles, the 49ers still got a chance because of who they are, what they built of. They have that, as they say, they have that DNA. Dallas has a slight chance. I'll be honest with you as a Cowboy fan, and you know what that's contingent upon. Um, and I'll be honest with you, Seattle, I'm gonna give them a chance because I like their personnel. I like Pete. I like what he's doing, but I just don't know. I think you know how Dwayne. We always talk about teams sometimes when they're ahead of schedule
Mm-hmm.
and then they don't win. Then the following year you come back with a lot of expectations. I think last year Seattle was ahead of schedule in rebuilding. Gino played fabulous, and I think the expectation might have got to the personnel because Seattle they went up to Detroit and had an issue. People are having issues. I think Detroit is a very interesting team. I think Detroit could represent the NFC in a way, but I hate to say this. I think if Detroit was to get to the big Super Bowl, or in those deep in those playoffs and have everybody focusing on that team, I could see them because they're a virgin to the playoffs, for lack of better words, in a long time. I could see them squandering the moment, and people be like, "Oh, they're they weren't that good." That's because Detroit is playing such well coached, mistake free football. Uh, and I'm not saying this because you're watching Joe, my buddy Joe Matty, who's a diehard Minnesota fan. I'm gonna say something about Minnesota that a lot of people may not agree with. Their head coach is putting on a coaching clinic. I know their defense is not that good, but I really watched Kirk Cousins before he got hurt, and Kirk Cousins was putting up numbers. And one thing about quarterbacks and Kirk Cousins and the quarterback that we root for has always been like neck and neck with their criticism. They say Kirk can't win primetime games. He finally won that one primetime game. Dak can't win big games, and then he won last year against Tampa Bay, which was a big game regardless of what they say. I think that those two players, if you watch them closely, it's a it's more expected from them on their respective teams than most teams.
Right.
Like Kirk Cousins before he got hurt, he basically had to carry Minnesota. Like I watched their games, everything was on him. He was throwing the ball 40, 45 times a game. So I really like what Kevin O'Connell has been doing up there. I agree with you. Dennis Allen is destroying the Saints. I don't know if anybody realized the Saints defense the last 4 or 5 years has been excellent. When you look at their offensive personnel, outside of Michael Thomas just having his legal issues, receivers for days, running backs for days, they have a lot of personnel, you guys. If you follow college football and look at that Saints roster, they're loaded.
Mhm.
Um, Far as the West, I don't know what they're doing. Even some experts are saying now that Arizona basically can't even trade Kyler Murray because of the way his contract is written up. And what are they doing? We all know I love draft. You love draft, Dwayne. Arizona, it will be their draft next year. They got about 13 or 14 picks, you guys.
Well, them and the Bears will be the teams you hear about the
Yeah.
most at the top of the draft.
So
Uh,
so it's going to be interesting, but those are the respected teams that I've been looking at. Like I said, Dwayne, I think Detroit, if you look at their schedule, Detroit might have home field advantage throughout the
they, they
playoffs
they
in the
they have a
NFC.
legitimate chance to be the number one overall seed.
Yeah.
I mean, they're a game back of the Eagles, or a game and a half, or what have you. But they'll match up in the amount of games played. They played 8 games. The Eagles have played 9. But this week, the Eagles are on their bye, and the Lions are on their ninth game rather. So if they do win and they get to 7-2, they're only one game behind Philly, right?
Hmm.
But then you got to look at it. They play the Chargers, it's a must win for the Chargers. They play the Chargers on the road, but then they got Bears, Packers, Saints, Bears, Broncos, Vikings, Cowboys, Vikings. How many games they losing in that? You know what I mean? They're not losing a lot of games in that. And then Philly, when they come off their bye, right? When they come off their bye, they have a Monday night game against the Chiefs. Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. A Monday night game against the Chiefs, followed by the Bills, the 49ers, the Cowboys, and the Seahawks. It's a tough stretch for the Eagles. Now they end Giant, Cardinals, Giants, so they're gonna finish. They're gonna win their last 3. But what are they gonna do after this bye week? 5. In those next 5 weeks. And again, I'll say it again. In those next 5 weeks out of the bye, it's Chiefs, it's Bills, it's 49ers, it's Cowboys, it's Seahawks. It's a tough 5-game stretch, man. Now, Cowboys on the other end, they get their 3 now that they should win, right? But then you look at them down the stretch. it gets crazy for them. All right, so let's see. They get the Giants today. They get the Panthers next week. And they get the Commanders. Commanders is a different division game. I will never disparage the Commanders. Truth be told, it's been said on this channel a lot. The Cowboys' biggest rival, folks, is the Washington Commanders. It's not the Eagles, and it's not the Giants. Historically, it's Washington, Dallas. That's the true hatred. Eagles and Giants, whatever. We in division with them. But the Cowboys hopefully could win. As a fan, I'm going to say hopefully. It's not real unbiased. But hopefully they win 3 in a row. But then it's Seattle. It's the Eagles. It's the Bills. It's the Dolphins. And it's the Lions. And finish with the Commanders. So the Cowboys have to get fat, man. They got to get fat these next 3 weeks. Or they could be in danger of not making the playoffs. They really can. And I'm saying that as a Cowboy fan. They really can. So it's wide open. Like, so the 49ers, again, 5-3. They lost 3 in a row. They didn't forget how to play football. This is the NFL, man. Any given Sunday. So they get today a big game. It's a must win for the 49ers.
I'm going to say it, Dwayne.
They can't drop 4 in a row.
There is a must. That game is the game of the day.
I'm watching it.
That game. Listen, that game has a chance to be a war. Doug Peterson is going to pull out all the stops. Kyle is going to have his guys ready. The 49ers, like I said, Dwayne, every year during the middle of the year or the beginning of the year, they have these injuries that be freakish. Yeah. And they've been basically getting over for the last couple of years because they didn't have to allocate money towards a quarterback. Even Jimmy G did not get a lot of money from them. So they've been able to turn their roster. This is a pivotal stretch the 49ers in. What's the next 3 games for them again?
Well, no, I think they need to win this one.
Oh, right? No, they got to win this game.
They need to win this one. After that, it's Buccaneers, it's Seattle, it's the Eagles, it's Seattle, it's Arizona, it's Baltimore, it's Washington, it's finished with the Rams. So you're looking at that. Rams is a division game. Ravens is a good game for them. Seattle twice. It's a division game. And they get the Eagles. So I think they could get healthy. If they get this win and they get the 6-4, what do they lose? 1 or 2 more games left of the way? And they get themselves ready? I think when you're talking about, I think it's clearly, it's just me, it's a 2-team race in the NFC that you could say these 2 teams are teams that I feel real solid on them being in Las Vegas in February. And I believe that is the Philadelphia Eagles and the San Francisco 49ers.
I'm going to ask you a question about that. Now, we know notoriously, and me and you keep it a buck, the 49ers kicks Dallas's ass. Dallas cannot beat them. It's a matchup nightmare. For the Eagles or the Niners, if both of them get the first, second seed, no matter what order, do they got to avoid playing Dallas? Do one of those teams got to avoid playing Dallas and then the winner? Or
I would never, to be honest with you, I would never say anybody has to avoid playing Dallas in the playoffs. The Cowboys have to prove it. So I'm not going to sit here and say anybody needs to avoid them. All right? But you look at the Dallas Cowboys, 12-5, 12-5, and has the chance to be 12-5, 11-6 again. And it don't mean a hill of beans if they don't have success in the playoffs. They got to prove it to me, right? So Detroit, again, they could wind up being the number 1 overall seed in the NFC. It's so if you're the number 1, if Detroit is the number 1 seed in the NFC, regardless of what most people will say, those players and some of the organizations, a 5th seed or a 4th seed would not mind going up there. Well, let's look at it this way, right? Let's just keep it a buck, right? Right now, 1, 2, 3 in the NFC East in NFC. Sorry, 1, 2, 3 in the NFC going in the playoffs is 49ers, Eagles, Lions, whichever way that falls. The 4th seed is going to be whoever comes out of that garbage ass. I'm gonna say it.
South,
NFC South. So then you got 2 spots, right? No, you actually got 3 spots, right? Because we did 4, right? So then you talking wild card, and when you're talking wild card, that's gonna come up between your maybe Atlanta Falcons. I don't know. Who else? Excuse me. I'm struggling right now. Let me just look at the standards again. So, all right, we're gonna say 4 teams are guaranteed right
it
now.
would be Atlanta, Dallas, and Seattle right now.
First of all, 4 teams: the Eagles, 49ers, Detroit, and NFC South winner. Done. Right? Those other 3 teams, you got Dallas, Minnesota in the mix, Atlanta's in the mix, Seattle's in the mix, and then it's going to be like, I mean, those are your teams, right? So if Detroit is the one,
we didn't skip over them. We didn't skip over
no,
them,
no, 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 no. The Seahawks is there, bro. That's what I'm saying. You got Dallas, Seahawks, Falcons, who legitimately have a claim for those last 3 spots, those wild card spots, right? Seattle's 5-3, Atlanta's 4-5, Dallas is 5-3. We can't count out Minnesota; they 5-4. So you basically got 4 teams that's going to be fighting for 3 spots, right? So if Philly is the 2 seed, they're going to get a 7 matchup, right? San Francisco will be a 3, and they should feel real comfortable if they're a 3 and Dallas is somehow a 6. Okay? As a Cowboy fan, I'm hoping like hell to get that 5 seed
to
and
play
go up against whoever play in the NFC South. But when you get that 5 seed, right, 4 or 5 matchup, I feel more comfortable going into Detroit, on the road to Detroit, than I do going on the road in Philly and San Francisco. That's me being a Dallas Cowboy fan.
Well, I'll tell you this, and I'll go on record. You know, me and you, one thing, we going to keep it a buck. I know most people will be like, oh, y'all Cowboy fans. Yeah, we Cowboy fans. I want no parts of the 49ers.
Styles make fights. Styles make fights, man. So it's gonna be
y'all done kicked our ass into submission. I'm tapped out.
Styles make fights. Man.
I want no parts of them, man.
Styles make fights, and it was a Mike Tyson beatdown in Santa Clara the last time we were there.
Talk about week 5. Yeah, y'all physically got beat up, but we got our asses trashed all over the field.
They sounded like the old Mayor Rizzo. I take you physically.
Yeah, take you physically. I'll take you all y'all back.
We laugh and we joke, but I'm gonna tell y'all something, man. And I know the world doesn't want to hear this, and I don't want to hear it either. The NFL has a problem on their hand, and they've had a problem on their hand for years. And the only way they can fix it is to make these officials full-time employees that they can spend the week going through the film and breaking it down with them. You need to make these officials full-time employees.
Dwayne, let everybody know what you've been saying for the last 3 weeks of what happened. And a lot of people didn't catch it. They laughed at Dallas 2 years ago in the playoffs when Dallas lost to the 49ers on that last play. When Dak and the referee got to it, and you've been talking about this situation that's going to hurt again in a big game.
It's going to hurt us in a big game, man. And it's that situation where the ball is spotted, the offense is ready to go, and that damn ref is right there over the center, holding it up, allowing the defense to make substitutions, but at the same time, the clock is still running. So then the offense got to speed it up. Sometimes the damn official is tripping over linemen, getting out of there. Stop it. Okay, if you're going to let them substitute, I'm all good with that. Stop the clock momentarily. Because why are we penalizing the offense? They set and ready to go, and you want to help the defense out. Meanwhile, Jerome Boger or whoever the hell any of these guys' names is standing there in the damn
way. Be easy on the brother. So you guys, like Dwayne said, when the offense substitutes, the defense does have a right to substitute. But what happens now is the defense looks at the personnel of the offense, and then they make the substitution instead of simultaneously. So what happens is the referee, because it's a rule, you have to allow the defense an opportunity to substitute. The play clock is coming down, and the referee, the umpire who sits on the left side, because the referee's on the right side after the quarterback. The umpire who used to be after by that middle linebacker years ago, the umpire sits there and holds the ball, and you can't hike like literally between the center and the quarterback, and you can't hike the ball, and the play clock's running down. So we've seen a lot of delayed games going on. I'm just going to speak for my team. My team has literally 26 26 dead ball penalties in the third and fourth quarter in
It's
8
crazy.
games. That is retarded. And
Now listen,
not excusing the game management, that's on the coach and the quarterback. But however, this is an issue that's going to hurt your team if the NFL don't get it together.
listen, I love my brother. He's in the comments. T. Croft. T. Croft, give it to me real right now, T. Croft. I want you to give it to me real. How do you feel about this Jaguar game at 1 o'clock?
T. Croft, Dwayne, we're all cut from the same cloth. T. Croft is scared to death.
No, I want to hear it from him. I don't want to hear it from you. I want to hear it from T. Croft.
He probably don't even want this game to happen.
No, let the man speak. T. Croft,
Hey,
let us know.
hey,
Me how you feel.
Sharif, we talked about the Steelers, Sharif, and all we gonna say is Mike Tomlin. We ain't gonna mention no players. We just gonna say Mike Tomlin. This is what T. Croft said to you, Dwayne.
Well, yes, I'm nervous too. Now, see, T. Croft, people think I'm nuts, right? But Vegas never lies, okay? Vegas has the audacity to make the Dallas Cowboys a 17.5 point favorite today. 17.5? This ain't college football, man.
You know what, T. Croft, you said right here in this statement? Week 5? That's what I told Dwayne. I said y'all defensive backfield could be had. But for some reason, my coach, and because we're scared of y'all, because y'all punch us in the mouth, we didn't even attack your secondary. Most teams have a weakness. Our weakness is defensive line. We know that. We can't stop the run. We want to get after you and attack your quarterback and blitz all day long and sack the quarterback. Y'all weakness is y'all secondary. If they let y'all front seven eat, y'all going to eat. Y'all secondary is weak. Not weak, but it's the weakness of the team. So
let me tell you something, though. Let me tell you something. The 49ers got something, right? The 49ers got something that I want people to really look out for, right? There are times when the San Francisco 49ers can have 3 people on a passing situation on their defensive line at the same time. Randy Gregory, Bosa, and Chase Young. You remember the Giants did that NASCAR? That's NASCAR for your ass right there. If you got those 3 cats on the field at the same time rushing the quarterback, I don't care if me and Quentin is in that defensive backfield. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They could bring that pressure. And that's why John Lynch did what he did.
I know that, and it's unfortunate that Steve Wilkes is going to get the blame. He's not going to be in the booth. It's not Steve Wilkes. You know who it is? It's the NFL. You guys been good so long on that unit. 3 coaches done parlayed into head coaching jobs from that defense. Personnel churns. Look at y'all offensive line. A lot of people don't realize it. McGlinchey wasn't that good for y'all, but he was okay. And you had the best left tackle in football. So everybody else benefited from the best left tackle in football on offense. So on y'all defense, when you have guys like Kinlaw, when you have guys like Joey Bosa, and now you got to start paying these guys. You lost Isaiah. Isaiah was tough. He went to Tennessee for $5 million. So now y'all basically just run out there with two great linebackers, by the way, 2 excellent linebackers. But somebody's going to suffer eventually. A unit's going to suffer, and that's the price of being good in the NFL. What's up, Wayne?
Pardon my expression, folks. I'm sorry for being a distraction, but I need to see Ezekiel Elliott wear number 15, catching out the backfield today, turning it up, running people over, and I can't get 2 goddamn yards for the Dallas Cowboys offense.
No, it's fourth and 2 for Dallas. We throw passes.
Listen, I'm not saying I wanted Zeke back because I didn't. I thought it was time to move on. But this right here is ridiculous. So let's get down to the nook and cranny of it, right? So
give me 5 games.
You got a game going on right now that we can't say nothing about, right? So it's 10-6. It's 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, right? He is eating today. It's making me sick to my stomach. So 1 o'clock action. You have a feel-good story in this NFL in the first 9 weeks. You got the 4-4 Houston Texans, led by that damn Buckeye, C.J. Stroud. I hate him. He's a Buckeye. I hate him. But he's good. Okay? He's lighting it up. So you got the Texans going into Cincinnati. Cincinnati is a 6.5-point favorite. I'm taking the Texans plus the 6.
Wherever Hood is at, if he's called or anybody, take the Texans, fellas.
I'm taking the 6.5.
Take the Texans.
The Bengals win the game, but they don't cover. Taking the Texans.
Agree.
All right. We go to 1 o'clock. We go to Heinz Field. It's not Heinz Field anymore. I don't know what the new name is, but you get the point. You got the 5-3 Pittsburgh Steelers against the 3-5 Jordan Love-led Packers. And what? Let's just be honest. If you are a Packer fan, you have lived a charmed life for the last 30 damn years, 32 years. So I don't want to hear you complain about Jordan Love at all. Because from 1991 to last year, you had Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers, and you won two championships. All right? So enjoy life as a real NFL fan, where you got to develop a quarterback and hope you can find them. Is it Jordan Love? I don't know. They move on. It's going to be a deep quarterback draft, right? So anyway, I like the Steelers today. I like the Steelers to take care of the Packers.
This is a game where I hate to say this. J.J. Watt is going to let everybody know he is a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. He's going to eat.
Okay.
T.J. Watt, excuse me, T.J.
Then we go to the city by the bay. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, man. They're 2.5-point favorite over the Will Levis-led Tennessee Titans. Hey, man, we do not shy away from controversy when we talk about the sport that we love. A little shady that Ryan Tannehill is doing everything he can do to get Will Levis ready to go. He didn't afford Malik Willis that same thing. I'm going to say it. It don't look good, okay? It don't look good. But anyway, I don't know who to believe in this game. I'll go with Tampa Bay because they're home. I don't have a good feel about this game.
This is an interesting story when you talk about Baker Mayfield and Will Levis. You basically two franchises who've been decent the last few years, we know, with Brady being down in Tampa Bay, but two franchises who are really trying to find themselves. Tennessee need to figure out if Will Levis has anything, because they will be going back into the draft. They're going to lose their running back. He's a free agent after this year. On the other side, Mike Evans is a free agent. So these are two teams that a lot of teams are going to purge going into next year for some veteran players. But these are two teams going, just figuring themselves out.
Okay. With all that said, you going Titans or you going Bucks?
Titans.
Okay. 1 o'clock from Baltimore. You got the Baltimore Ravens against the Cleveland Browns. 7-2 versus 5-3. Baltimore's a 6-point favorite. I like Baltimore to win this game 27-24 today. I think the Ravens move on to 8-2.
Baltimore without I'll take Cleveland with the points, but I think Baltimore win.
Okay.
I don't think Baltimore cover.
1 o'clock. New Orleans Saints goes to Minnesota. Take on the Josh Dobbs-led Vikings.
Josh Dobbs. I'm going with the Vikings, man.
Vikings are a home dog, 3 points. But give me the 3, and I take the Vikings because, as I said, I do not trust Dennis Allen as a coach. I think he should not be a head coach in this NFL, and we shall see. Now, the game I've been waiting for, 1 o'clock in Jacksonville. Is it in Jacksonville or is it in San Francisco? It's in Jacksonville. It's at 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock in Jacksonville. The 49ers are a 3-point road favorite in this game. They're coming off a bye. They've lost 3 in a row. They're getting Samuels back. Trent Williams is a game time decision. I think the 49ers step up today. and they show the league who they are, and they start to get right back where they need to be. I think it's a close game, though, man. I think this is right on the line. I think this is a 3-4 point game. But I like the 49ers on the road today to get back on track against Jacksonville.
I think Sunshine wins.
Oh, so you're
I
going with
think
Jacksonville.
Duval wins. I think this is
Okay.
just this is the game that I don't think they're gonna be able to get.
4-5 Falcons. They travel to Arizona to take on the 1-8 Cardinals. It's terrible. This Cardinal team's one win is against my lovable bums. Right? Atlanta's a 2.5 point favorite. Kyler Murray's back in the fold this week. I'm gonna take the Cardinals at home to pull an upset over the Falcons.
Me too. I think the Cardinals at home. I think one thing that Atlanta's doing is you got players upset, but they don't understand that Arthur Smith can coach and he's doing a good job down there. But you have players complaining about touches, and you don't need that from a young team. And they don't have the quarterback situation is a little crazy. I think Kyler Murray comes back in there. He's going to inspire them guys.
Okay. So we move on to Seattle. You got the Seattle Seahawks at 5-3, hosting the 4-5 Washington Commanders led by Sam Howell. Seattle's a 6 point favorite at home. I'm taking the Washington Commanders to pull an upset. It's my upset special of the day. Give me the 6 in Washington, but Washington wins this one outright.
I think Seattle will beat them this week. The only reason I think that Washington, with those trades, I think last week they played inspired, but I think this week traveling across country is going to hurt them, and I think that Seattle's going to take them out.
Okay, we're in Los Angeles. You got the 4-4 Chargers hosting the 6-2 Lions. A CBS game. The Lions are 2.5 point favorites. Chargers need this game, man. I'm gonna go with the Chargers because they desperately need to not fall under 500. So I'm going with the Chargers to pull an upset, slight upset against the Detroit Lions.
I'm gonna take the Chargers as well, and whatever the over is, go with the over. This is gonna be a high scoring shootout affair where I think that just the Chargers are gonna win just because of being able to score. It sounds cliche, but being able to score more points with more weapons. So I think the Chargers will win a 42-38, just a shootout. Old-fashioned shootout.
Okay. So then we go to Jerry's world. You got the Dallas Cowboys against the New York Giants. The line is 17.5. I'm taking the Giants in the 17.5. The Cowboys are going to win this game. But from a betting standpoint, I'm taking the Giants at 17.5. Like, are we kidding? They still got Saquon Barkley over there, man. I know they got Tommy Still DeVito at quarterback, and we don't know what he going to do. Will the Lion eat tonight? I don't know. I know he runs his damn mouth too much. Number 11, Micah Parsons. And Micah Parsons, why don't you do me a favor, man? The next time you speak on this and my team, and you talk about my coach showing emotion yesterday and crying, you should show that type of emotion for the Dallas Cowboys instead of worrying about the damn Edge podcast on Monday nights. All right? So get your damn mind right.
It's funny that Vegas did a 17 because the margin of 17.5 spread, because and this is why they're considered the experts, because the margin of losses for the Giants averages out to 16 per game. I think 17.5 is crazy to a professional team. I think it's disrespectful. I think it's borderline crazy that they would do it, but Vegas knows something that we don't know. They do this stuff and they don't go broke. The book always makes money. I do think that Dallas is going to win. I do think that it could get a little testy in that first quarter because Dallas has a propensity to play down to the town that they play with, unless they're have to play up, and it's the 49ers, and they did not. That's when they don't play. But it should be a Dallas win. It shouldn't. I don't know about no 17.5. Maybe double digits 10, but 17.5 is crazy.
Yeah, it's offensive. All right. So then, lastly, Sunday Night Football, live from Las Vegas, right? You got the Jets are 4-4, the Raiders are 4-5, 1.5 point spread. The Raiders played inspired football against the Giants last week. I don't care that it was the Giants. Antonio Pierce had that team riled up and ready to go. I think he does it for another week. I think Antonio Pierce. Hey man, everybody wanted to crown Jeff Saturday last year, right? Oh, Jeff Saturday. Let's do the same thing for Antonio Pierce. Okay? He has a chance to make something out of this season and hopefully secure that head coaching job. Do I think they're going to keep it? No. I think right now, I'm going back to the block M. I think Jim Harbaugh is the next head coach of the Oakland Raiders, and the Las Vegas Raiders, excuse me. It hurts my heart to say that, but he's tired of what's going on in the NCAA. You're frauds, you're frauds, you're frauds. Hey, penalize us. We had a rogue dude doing stuff he ain't need to do, but you suspended my coach, okay? There's 12 games we're going to play in the regular season. 6 games of them is going to be without my coach because he missed the first 3. He's going to miss the last 3, and we're still going to win. Go, Blue.
I don't think Jim Harbaugh is going to be the coach there. And the reason why is because I really believe Antonio Pierce is going to go on a funny run. And I think that Mark Davis, because he only owns the Raiders, I don't think he can afford to pay Jim Harbaugh. They just don't have any money. They got 2 coaches that they got to pay. And I think Antonio Pierce, because he gets along with the players so well, because he's from Compton, which is not too far from Vegas. It's a couple-hour ride. I think they're going to win today. I think they're going to beat the Jets. I think them being inspired. One thing I respect about what he said is, I'm going to get the ball to my players. I'm going to get the ball to Adams. I'm going to get the ball to Jacobs. And that's what you got to do. You got to allow Crosby to eat. I think the Raiders have their coach. And we'll talk about Coach Harbaugh one of these days. And I just don't think he's going to go there. I don't want him to go to the team that I think he's going to go to.
Well, since we got people in the chat, man, we're going to open it up to you. Tell us what you feel about your team today. T. Croft already told us he a little nervous. I get it. Anybody else out there? Anthony, how you feel about your squad today? What you think y'all going to do? We're going to open it up to you right now.
I don't know. They might have left the chat, Wayne.
They left the chat? All right. Well, then that's what it is, man. We're back. You're going to see us from time to time. We don't want to hit y'all over the head. We don't want to bore nobody. But we're going to pop in from time to time when it's the right time to do it. And you got 2:30 to go in Frankfurt, and the Colts are up 10-6. Of course, Mac Jones is going to Mac Jones. You know, the last drive, I can say it now because it was 10 minutes ago. I can't get in trouble. He threw a terrible pick, but where have we heard that before from Mac Jones?
So with that, you guys, until the next time, take care. Have a great football. And as Dwayne always says, faith, family, football.
Burn rubber.